Okay. Oh, perfect.
All right, we're good.
I like how it said it asked for consent for you, but I got to say yes.
You got to see, yeah. I didn't get the choice. That's weird. This is 2020. I should have gotten to hit the yes button on that.
Exactly. Like, I mean, I guess I did. I guess it did. Google accomplished what it was going for. I did ask you for consent.
That's true, and you can prove it. You can prove it through video evidence. So.
Yeah, but I could have said nothing and, and just been like, yeah. So, who are you? What are you doing here?
So my name is Jacob Reynolds. I've known Rob for probably close to 10 years now. I run a media company out here in Phoenix. It's called Jacob Reynolds Media. I shoot music videos, I shoot wedding videos, do some commercial work, YouTube series and stuff like that.
Sweet, man. Speaking of knowing me for 10 years, do you remember? I was actually trying to think of this the other day, and I think I know. I think I remember, because you're so cool that I could never forget how we met. But I want to hear it from you. Do you remember when and why and how?
Yeah, I remember the exact time. I came to with a girl that I had been dating back at that time. Came to an Easter service at the First Methodist Church on the ASU campus, because it was really close to where we were staying at the time, and like we were looking for a church to go to, and Easter, of course, is a perfect day for everyone to get their out of bed and go to church.
That's where we see like 3/4 of the people who say they go to church, so it's good. Yeah,
pretty much. Numbers a little bit. Yeah. We went there. We listened to the Easter service. And then afterwards, I just remember you came up and talked to us because, I mean, you had never seen us before. And we were, I think at that time, given the service that we went to, I think that we were probably the only like college age people in that one.
Oh yeah. Cause I think you came to the traditional service or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. And what's funny about when young people showed up to those services, that's, I always argued like, hey, any of the pastors on staff can go and say hi, but like 20 people would at least like come to me and be like, see that person there that's under 70? You should go talk to him. Okay. I would have talked to you anyway, but
yeah, that's how. And then we started going to more of the college stuff. I mean, it's weird to think back that I was like even in college at one point. College seems like such a long time ago. But yeah, I remember like I don't remember if it was the second or third service that we went to there, but I remember like I just felt like we walked into a trap because you were doing a service on hipsters. Like you were doing like the sermon that you were given that day was like on hipsters. And you were talking and you made a reference to how they liked wearing plaid shirts, and I was wearing a plaid shirt and you were saying it, and you just stopped in the middle of it and pointed at me.
Like that guy right there.
I was just like, well. And then I remember I thought it was so funny afterwards, just because like what was the pastor, Sarah, was that her name?
Yeah, Sarah Case would have been there.
I remember she sent me, because like it was when we were still like kind of new, but we had signed up for like the newsletter and stuff like that. And, like I remember she sent me an email just about like how how it was like truly meant to be that we were there that day, so that you had like the perfect example to give these people that might not know, like might not understand what you were talking about. Just like I'm glad I could be of help,
That's so good. And you guys were like some of my first participants in, I didn't call it this back then. It was a few years after, like I did like a second version of what became Theology Pub.
Mm-hmm.
We did that group that met at, is it Casey Moore's? Is that the place in Tempe?
I think we either meet there or at like
Boulders, right? Or
Boulders. I think we met at Boulders too.
Yeah.
But I think we did Casey's the most.
Yeah. And where we'd go, and it was like for grad students, and we were reading like Rob Bell or whatever, and it always like weirded the servers out in a good way.
Yeah.
Because we're like drinking whatever and and have like our Bible open or Rob Bell book or whatever. Like, what are you guys doing? I'm like, oh, this is our like grad student group. we're just chilling.
Yeah, that was always a lot of fun. I'm really glad that caught on too, because I would see. I mean, I'm sure, does Brian still do it?
Yeah. Oh yeah. I think. Yeah, downtown Phoenix Theology Pub was in the Republic. Maybe. It could have been a year ago now. Like, anytime I say like, "Oh, that was like last month," and someone's like, "Rob, that was 5 years ago." Like,
yeah.
There is no more time. Time is a flat circle.
Yeah, I'm glad that caught on though, because I always thought that was such a cool idea and such a unique thing that like any church that I had gone to when I was younger obviously like I went to church in Texas. Like nobody in Texas would touch that at all. Like those things got to be far away from each other, and nobody that I went to church with in Texas would ever touch a Rob Bell book either.
Right. Remind me of the denomination.
I grew up in a Baptist church.
Church, that's right. Yeah.
Mostly Baptist, turned I thought was Baptist, but it was run by Matt Chandler, so I guess it's more of like a Calvinist church, like a Reformed.
Yeah.
So Matt Chandler was actually my pastor for a few years because he took over the church that I was going to before I moved out here.
Yeah.
So the idea of something like a theology pub was something that was like so far off my radar and so far like, wait, you mean I can like, I'm allowed to like all of this like in one thing, like this is part of the rules.
All of my favorite things, booze and God, and
like it was really, really cool. And I was glad to see that Brian kept it going for so long. And I thought it was really cool because it always reminded me, because I know they did it at Angel's Trumpet for a while.
Yeah.
And I remember the first time I went to Angel's Trumpet was with you. I think I met up with you at when you guys still had your office at Songbird.
Yeah.
I don't even think they were open yet. Like they were still like, it was like a soft opening because they were still like getting ready to like go with it. And like I always remember that because one of my really, really good friends, Thomas, is a manager at both locations. And and there's a new one in Arcadia. There's a new one in Arcadia too. So he
right over by the Costco.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I haven't do that one yet.
And so I've like every meeting that I've had with like either like a couple about their wedding or like a band about their video project, like I almost always meet them at Angel's Trumpet. And like to see like how good it's doing. And then like I've shot so many videos there because I've done tons of videos with like my friends' bands, and I'm always like hitting up my buddy that works there, and I'm just like, hey buddy, can I use the bar at Angel's Trumpet to like shoot the scene of this video?
Yeah.
So it's always really cool like remembering back to like the first time of going there like with you way before they were even open, like in 2012 or something.
Yeah, that would have been about right. And that reminded me like we got going with City Square Church in downtown Phoenix, and you mentioned Songbird, Angel's Trumpet, like a bunch of us sort of like hit the ground. We were I don't know what wave you would call that in downtown history. And there was definitely, folks for decades, down there doing stuff before we ever showed up. But it seemed like we were part of some wave, some new wave happening in downtown. And, we started around the same time. Angel's Trumpet, Songbird Coffee. Like, I think our first day, like Brian and I were just walking Roosevelt Row, and we're like, oh, new coffee shop opening, let's pop in. And the owners were there, and we just struck up a friendship with them, and the same with the Angel's Trumpet folks, and Cahoots, and the co-working space, and Mon Orchid, and just so many of those places. And it's such a trip to go downtown now, because I only get up there, every once in a while.
Right.
Go and I'll drive through or catch a meeting with somebody, and I'm like, what happened down here? In both like good, like I get this good sense and this like, oh, I don't think this is what people were hoping for, but at the same time, it's good to see like all this life happening down here.
Oh yeah. Yeah. People are definitely like I personally have a lot of friends that are very, very divided on like what's been happening in Phoenix. And while I think it's cool that like, certain establishments, and like you said, that there's more like life going on down there. Like I know a lot of people have been getting disappointed just because they're building all these new like apartment complexes, and so the cost of living and rent is just like skyrocketing in downtown.
Yeah, like it's weird to go into Joe Bot that's in the bottom of a mid-rise apartment thing.
Oh,
it's still very Joe Bot, but it's not in like a part of the Joe Bot scene was.
Yeah, speaking of Joe Bot, I remember before there was anything else on that street, there was an establishment when it was just the Lost Leaf. Like in 2007, I remember going to Lost Leaf, and I legitimately remember that everything else on the street was still like a home, like a house.
Yeah.
Because I remember my friend was like, "I'm going to take you to this bar that I really like," and we pull up in front of this house. Like, dude, like, where are you taking me? Like, this is absolutely not a bar.
Yeah.
Walk inside, and it's just, a living room with a couple tables.
Yeah.
And then just, the bar and like a little tiny stage area. And I was like, wow, somebody just built a house or built a bar out of their house.
Yeah.
And now even like, I haven't been to First Friday in years, but even just going out there now, sorry, I know my kids are being like super, super loud in the other room.
Hey, that's okay. It's part of the show. It's part of
yeah. If anybody wants to know what having kids is like in quarantine.
Yeah. We've had dogs, we've had cats, we've had babies on the show.
It basically just sounds like Jumanji all the time.
Exactly. We just try to survive.
But yeah, going back to that area now, it's so crazy just seeing that like everything on that street is a business now. Like there's the bookstore, or at least the last time I was there, like that little bookstore, the donut shop, the print shop. Joe, I don't know, did Joe Bot move? I don't think Joe Bot's there anymore, is it?
Yeah, so Joe Bot's in the my brain is so fuzzy now on downtown stuff, but it's one of the shops in the bottom of one of the new apartment complexes.
Oh dang!
Yeah, but I mean the crepes are still amazing, so I can't hate on it.
I'm sure it's still awesome.
I love it and whatever, but again, it's sort of like if you knew Joe Bot beforehand, and again, I'm still a novice compared to some of the folks who've just been embedded in that community forever. It's still a little weird going into a space that's not the house. It's not like walking into the living room and getting your coffee and a crepe and and chilling with the artist community. So
I know. I wish that I kind of wish that I never had a chance to live like in Phoenix. I feel like that's like the place that I skipped over because I always lived in the East Valley. Mm-hmm. I lived in like the far West Valley for like maybe 5 months when I was like in between like starting school again when I moved here to when I moved back out. And like, so I was just at my parents' house for like 5 or 6 months, but other than that, like I've always lived in the East Valley. So like I've gotten to go to Phoenix a whole lot, but I never really got to like be wrapped in that culture, just cause I feel, especially now, like age appropriate wise, that like, I probably should have just like skipped over Tempe entirely and like just gone to Phoenix and just like cut the little Tempe portion out of my life and just pretend,
No offense to our Tempe viewers out there, but
a little bit.
Yeah. Are you playing music these days?
So oddly enough, so I've been in like a litany of bands over the last 10 years. Like it's been ridiculous.
Oh yeah.
I was in one for like the last 5 years, like 5 or 6 straight years that I was like super, super stoked on. We had just put out an album, like we were actually starting to do really, really well, but my guitar player ended up deciding to move back to Michigan where he's from because that's where all his family is. Like he couldn't deal with being out here anymore. So it just kind of, I don't want to say like it ended because we still talk all the time. Like we still talk about writing stuff together. But me and my best friend Brian and my other friend Mike used to all be in this band like 10 years ago that we started in like 2010. So in 2010.
What was it called?
They're called Sleepwalker.
Yeah.
So I started that band with them. I played like a good handful of shows, did a couple recordings with them. And then in July of 2010, I moved back to Texas for a little bit because I was going through some mental stuff and I needed to go home for a little bit. And so they kept on doing the band. Like they continued doing the band for another 5 years. They ended up moving to Austin for a while. They toured a whole bunch, like did a whole bunch of really, really released a whole bunch of CDs, like really, really cool stuff. So last summer when everything with my band kind of like fizzled, I messaged my friend Brian and I was like, hey man, like, we haven't written music together in a while. Like, do you think if we talk to Mike might be willing to like write some Sleepwalker songs again, like just for fun, like for no other reason than just like putting out a couple new songs. And so we just like got in a group message about it and decided that that's what we wanted to do. So late last year, probably like October of last year, we started like writing some stuff together. Then like Brian got married. So, there's kind of like little pauses and stuff now that we're all in our, mid 30s and have adult lives. And then so we were supposed to be, let's see, what's today? Today's the 20th. We were supposed to be playing a show tomorrow. We were actually supposed to play a show tomorrow.
What venue?
At the Rebel Lounge.
Oh yeah, love the Rebel.
I love the Rebel Lounge, and it's so close to where we all live.
What was it called before?
The Mason Jar.
Yeah, Mason Jar. I mean, that's where like Nirvana, Pearl Jam, Soundgarden, like.
Oh yeah, that was like the
played. It's like that is an intimate venue.
Mm-hmm. I love that place, and I'm so bummed because it was supposed to be tomorrow, and like it was like a reunion show for a bunch of bands. Like there were a whole bunch of bands that are like broken up. They were gonna do like reunion sets, and then like So we just decided. So we just wrote a couple new songs, and then I think I don't know if it's gonna come out tomorrow or not because it's like releasing stuff on Spotify. Like you have to get everything like approved the right way and stuff. So so we have a new song that we submitted to Spotify. And it might come out tomorrow.
Okay.
It might come out Monday. So we don't. It depends on how long it takes Spotify because we uploaded to Spotify Monday, I think.
Okay.
So yes, long answer to a very short question.
You're still playing.
Yeah, still playing. Old band might be releasing new songs as early as tomorrow, depending on how much the internet decides to like us.
Nice. Well, I definitely want to check that out. So shoot me a link.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm very excited about it. It's pretty raw sounding.
Nice. That's why I actually wore this Metallica shirt today because in your honor, knowing I was doing this. I used to have a lot of metal shirts, but I only one now.
I think it's funny that you're wearing a metal shirt and I'm wearing the Format shirt, like the most band to come out of Arizona.
We switched roles.
I mean, I love the Format though. I like a lot of music from Arizona.
Yeah. So, tell me about the Format.
The Format. Well, I don't know. Where do you want me to start? Like,
so are they like? I feel like I've heard of them. Are they like on the radio and stuff, or are they just local?
Well, they were a bit like a big like I would say like borderline national level local band. I don't know if they ever got on the radio. So they had a first CD that came out in 2000. Well, they had an EP that I know if I don't mention the EP, someone on this is gonna like roast me later and be like, you don't actually like me. So they had an EP called the Snails EP for anybody that wants to try and. Then in 2003 they had a CD come out called Interventions and Lullabies, and that is like. I know, once again, people are going to roast me for it. That's my favorite album by far. That had the biggest single off it was just called The First Single. And if you heard it, you probably recognize it. And then they had another CD come out in like 2005 or 2006 called Dog Problems. And then they broke up like right after that.
Yeah.
Then their singer did this band called Fun.
Yes. Okay.
So, So if you didn't hear the Format, you probably heard of Fun.
Connections being made now. Yeah.
And then after Fun, he just is a solo artist. Like he just does like Nate Roos, and he just has he does like songs with like Pink and stuff like that now.
Yeah, that's right.
Now he's a big radio star.
Okay, now he's total top 40. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
And they announced a series of reunion shows that were supposed to happen this month, but they all got canceled. Like it was so insane. Like they were only going to do them here. Like they were going to do one here in this state for like one night. It sold out within the first like 10 minutes of tickets going on sale. So they added another date, then had to add 2 more, and then started adding dates in other cities because of how fast everything was selling out. And then it canceled.
I was trying to get to the Rage show, one of the Rage shows in Phoenix, and then also Pearl Jam was coming through, and I was trying to get to Pearl Jam either here in Los Angeles or San Diego or something, and didn't make it happen. But maybe when bands start touring again in the next who knows how long can make it happen.
I had a lot of friends that had to miss the Rage show, and I know that a lot of them are pretty bummed about it because those tickets were expensive too. The Rage tickets were like $400+ for some of the seats.
Oh, geez. Yeah, I was wasn't looking to spend that. I saw them back in, when I was a teenager and in college and stuff. Back when I was just going to any show, anytime, anywhere.
Yeah.
Have you ever heard of a band? I don't know if they're considered local, but they released Living Local at one time, called Congos.
No, I haven't.
You would know their song. Like, they have this one song it's used in like commercials and some other things. I'll send you a link later. But
Okay.
I had a random story about meeting them at the Swizzle Inn. Have you ever been to the Swizzle Inn?
No, where is that?
Best dive bar in Phoenix, and I actually think they moved. So when I was up living in Phoenix, I could walk to the Swizzle at 16th Street in Bethany Home. So there's like the Vig is there. There's a Santan Brewing there now. Dick's Hideaway, Richardson's. Gosh, there's just so much right there. There's a Zips, but who cares?
Yeah, I live almost right next to a Zips, and I'm just like, you'll never catch me going there.
Yeah. I'll go if that's what's open, or need some wings or whatever. Let's go Zips.
Only thing.
I need a really gigantic Bud Light. Like, get the Zips.
I hope I never do those.
Yeah. Yeah. Anyway, so we'll skip over the Congo story. I'll save that for someone. Do you know PJ Szabo?
Not know him personally,
Okay.
but we're friends on Facebook because we both do film stuff, and specifically we both do wedding videos.
Yeah.
And so we've interacted with one another a whole lot, like through just like comments and stuff. I don't know if I've actually ever met him in person.
Yeah, like I feel like that's one of those things where I feel like we all know like you guys would know each other, or I introduced you guys or whatever. But it's definitely one of those like, okay, next time I'm up in Phoenix and the world's not ending, then I got to get 3 of us together.
Yeah, I got to like arrange something with everybody. Yeah, and I think I feel like I have another couple friends that know him too, because I feel like I mentioned him, and one of my other buddies that is not connected to this group at all was just like, oh yeah, I've known that guy for this many years. I'm just like, and Phoenix really is like a very like small giant community.
It is. It's like a big, mostly happy, sometimes dysfunctional family. It's good.
Yeah. Some dysfunction there for sure. But yeah, next time you come up, that'd be awesome to like actually, I mean, first of all, to see you, but like to actually like meet him in person and sit down as like 3 people. And
because you guys could talk like local Phoenix music scene and video and whatever, and like old school evangelical, post-evangelicalism. Like, I mean, you're kind of the same person, I think, in a lot of ways. You have way more tattoos. But I made
a lot of dumb decisions when I was young,
Yeah, they look cool though. And PJ and I have this running thing where like you're able to pinpoint. You're like, I know the exact moment, Rob, we met. Like PJ and I have never been able to figure out like how we met. So we're just like sure that we've like always known each other in some parallel universe, and always and forever. So like we've searched both of our email inboxes and Facebook Messenger and text messages and whatever with each other, and we cannot find, like, everything we find picks up in the middle of like a conversation. You cannot find like a, hey man, so and so told me to reach out. Like maybe we should have coffee sometime. Like that's
so funny, and it's so weird. Like I always have to explain this to people too. That like the reason that I was able to like pinpoint the exact time I met you is like I have a very, very good memory, but my memory works almost entirely by circumstance.
Yeah.
Like I remember things surrounded by like dates and events and stuff. Like I remember it because it was Easter Sunday.
Yeah.
Like if it didn't happen on Easter, I probably wouldn't remember the exact day, but I remember like getting dressed that morning, like taking a picture before leaving. Like I remember, I remember you mentioning Rage Against the Machine while we were talking about music after the service was over. I have a really good memory, but it like 100% depends on like other like concrete events that I can also remember to like tie things together.
Yeah.
I don't know.
A lot of other emotional things happening.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what's the latest tattoo you got, and where'd you get it? Who did you?
Oh God, I don't think I've been tattooed in almost 7 years, probably.
Really? No.
Yeah. 7 years, yeah. I got in 2013 I got my knuckles redone, and I got like my second row of fingers, like my smaller like row of fingers done.
Okay.
And I haven't got anything done since then. Just like
wow.
Once I finally was able to afford getting tattooed again, because I was so broke for so long. Once I was able to finally start affording it again, then it was just like, then we had kids. Then once I was able to afford it after that, then we moved to a more expensive place, and my son started school. So it's all just been like, just kind of just throwing money out towards the world constantly.
There you go.
So, but we still I still want to, get something for both my kids. Like I'll probably get like a tattoo for each of my kids eventually. That will be the next thing I do. And then I got to talk Ashley into getting one too, because it'll be her first one. So.
Oh yeah. Nice.
We're gonna break.
My wife's up to 3 now, and I'm still at 0. Yeah.
Still at 0.
Hey, I made it almost 41 years. So.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, you're the underdog, really.
Yeah. Yeah. So my wife, you guys can all be the cool ones.
I think people without them are considered the unique ones now.
Right. Yeah.
I think they've been almost 41 years without getting one.
Yes, I'm unique. Woohoo! Awesome, man. Well, we have come to the time of the conversation where you get to ask the questions now. You're the interrogator. You can ask me anything. It's Reddit.
Let's see. Well, since I know we started the conversation talking about Theology Pub and beer and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Currently, what is your favorite beer right now?
No, this is such an embarrassing question because
nope. I can anything I want to.
Yeah, I know. I'm not going to avoid it. I'm just qualifying it. So, man. So in Tucson, we have some really good breweries down here, and I haven't been drinking a lot of beer, mostly because of the whole almost 41. And, I look at food or I look at a beer and I gain 5 pounds. So, so I just keep it to bourbon. But I really love, there's 3 breweries down here. It's a Dragoon, Borderlands, and Puebla Vita here in Tucson. Just make some of my favorite stuff. And the Dragoon stuff you can buy a lot of stores, and my go-to IPA is just the Dragoon IPA. I think that's one of my favorite IPAs ever. And then Puebla Vita just has, they do weird stuff, and they always have all kinds of stuff going on. So it just kind of depends, but almost anything I've ever had from them is good. And in the summertime, I love Hefeweizens, and they make a really good half. And then Borderlands has it's called the Tool Avenue IPA, I think. If my buddy Dave Wasson, who was on earlier, and you guys know each other? You should know each other. He doesn't live very far from you. He's just at Thomas and Scottsdale Road.
Oh, I literally live on Thomas and Scottsdale Road. So.
All right, I'll make sure you guys.
I live on 70th Street, but it's literally 70th Street's right next to Scottsdale.
Yeah, but that's like a hazy. The Tool Avenue, if that's what it's called, that's like a hazy IPA, and that's just really good because it's really citrusy too. It's another good summer.
Yeah.
So I'm definitely okay. I'm in a summer beer mood.
Yeah.
Right now, just something that's refreshing and you can drink out by the pool.
Oh yeah. Hey, that's not embarrassing at all, because for a second there I thought you were about to start telling me that you started drinking White Claws and that you were just done with beer and that you were on to White Claws.
Oh, it's the Bud Light with lime.
The Bud Light seltzers.
Something else going on. Blah blah blah. Yeah. But we're doing a theology pub down here with so Melissa is the senior pastor at Sanctuary United Methodist Church, and that's one of the things she asked me to get going was a Theo pub, and we do it at it's not like a cool downtown urban bar or anything. It's just I don't remember what it's called. I think it's called Craft Republic. I think it's even a chain, whatever. But they have a nice beer list. So
yeah. I know. I finally found, so like living in Old Town, like I don't like going to anywhere in Old Town pretty much. It's just not my not my speed, not my age group. Even the people that do go out in that area that are in my age group are not people that I particularly like want to be around. Like,
but where you should be going in Old Town is Grimaldi's Pizza.
Okay, that's really close to my house too. Like I ride my bike by there all the time.
I mean, Oregano's is my favorite all time, I think, pizza. But the Grimaldi's specifically in Old Town, that's for the longest time in the whole country. I think there were only two. There was the original under the Brooklyn Bridge, and then there was Old Town Scottsdale. And then they franchised it out, so now it's kind of all over the country. It kind of blew up, and it's hit or miss when you go to those franchises. But I think in Scottsdale, they've really kept the original recipes and stuff, and it's killer.
Dang, that's awesome. Yeah, whenever I'm not scared to go to a restaurant anymore.
Yeah. I don't know if they're DoorDashing or Uber Eats.
Yeah, they DoorDash though. But yeah, I was gonna say, so like literally right next to my, like I live on 70th and Thomas, and on 60th and Thomas. So like less than a mile down the road is this really cool tiny little dive bar called TT Roadhouse.
Okay.
And like I had I knew what it was because Ashley told me that she used to go there when she was younger, but I never actually gone there. And so finally, like a few months ago, like I went there one night, and it is just like the perfect dive bar for me. Like there's it barely holds anybody inside. The patio holds like 10 people maybe. Like they have like a nice like craft beer list, and then of course like as soon as I'm like cool, like I found a new bar in my town that I like going to, then everything shuts down.
Yeah, of course.
When I lived in Chandler, I had like a spot, like the place right across from me when I lived in Chandler was just like perfect. Just walking distance. I could walk there.
Applebee's.
Huh?
Applebee's.
Those $1 drinks, man.
The Corona Rita. Yeah.
It was this place called Jolie's. It was like
that sounds great.
It was listed like a sports bar, but it was definitely like a biker bar. Okay. My bar, and they would have like rockabilly bands play on the weekends.
Oh yeah, no, that doesn't sound like you're seeing it all.
It was amazing. And they had these speaking of like nice summertime hazy IPAs. Do you like anything from Oso that they have? Oh yeah. Yeah. I used to go to Oso all the time. There's that one from Oso called like Boom Dynamite that's like a summer like hazy one.
Yeah.
And like Jolie's had this thing where they wouldn't like use the serving limit restrictions on like, like, oh, this one's this %, you have to get it in a small little thing.
Yeah.
And so the Boom Dynamite one was like probably like 8.5% or something like that, And they'd be like, what size do you want? You'd be like 24-ounce mug, and they're just like, here you go.
I think I just got ill thinking about that.
I mean, it was. I love that place a lot. But yeah, now that the world's closed down, it's a little bit.
Yeah, well,
different.
I'll get back there, and now we definitely need to hang out and just talk about life and.
Oh yeah, next time you're in town, I'll definitely
theology discussions and all that good stuff.
Yeah, I'd be down. How often do you come out here?
So we can talk offline, but I've actually been working on a project the last few years where I'm up there quite a bit. But most of the time, I just try to slide in under the radar, and I do some work up in North Scottsdale, and then head back down to Tucson. But yeah. Definitely, though, being starved of human connection when things are, okay to start getting back together again. I'm not going to take those trips for granted and try to squeeze in as much seeing old friends as possible. So
yeah, for sure. Oh yeah, and as far as the beer one being my first question, second question? What is like your like the actual like identifiable role like in the church that you do? Like are you a lead pastor? Are you still focusing more on like college ministries, or like more people in the
do we have? Yeah. So I'm actually in what's called now in the United Methodist Church, an ordained deacon. So before I was an elder, and then I'm like a problem child, so I have to make life difficult. And usually when you get ordained, you become one or the other, and you never change. change. You never change. So elders are like typically the, lead pastors of churches, preaching in the pulpit, doing communion, baptism, stuff like that. Deacons are like, I like to describe us deacons as sort of like, we're like the rebels and the folks out in the world. Really, theologically, we're connecting church to the world to the church, and really living in that space in between, and kind of holding that tension there. So, for me, it's never been like, oh, we have the church like all wrapped up in a bubble here, and then we have, the world out here. And, sometimes you send a missionary out into the world and whatever. I've never seen it like that. Me, I'm always creating connections and partnerships, and seeing how all these things work together, and just, trying to make good stuff happen. So, I really, a few years ago, my third year at City Square Church, really felt that tug to like, man, I think I need to realign, my calling here. So that's what I've been doing after I took a year off, so I'm kind of a free agent in some ways, but I started a nonprofit under which all my work lives now. So I do a lot of working with churches, trying to make those connections to the world, and trying to help them connect with their neighbors and do good stuff. So that happens in a ton of different ways, and including starting kind of new funky faith communities, which I also need to talk to you about later. But so that sends me kind of all over the place, not just up to Phoenix, but all around the country. And a bunch of that work got put on hold, of course. And then when I'm at home, I help out at Melissa's church here in Tucson. So doing Theology Pub and some small groups, and helping with outreach and stuff like that. So, yeah,
that's awesome. It sounds like a like missionary networking almost.
Yeah. We deacons have a little independent streak in us, and just trying to lean into that.
Well, yeah, I think that's great though, because I think even being able to look back to the start of Theology Pub or the start of City Square, and like what it like transpired into before you were able to like, move on to the next thing that you wanted to. It's like, you and Brian like helped start, or you started this Theology Pub thing, with members of, the First United Methodist Church in Tempe there. And then you met with Brian, you church planted, and then we, kept Theology Pub going, and you passed that off to Brian. And then you can come out here and you can start doing something here where you can meet this person, start this, pass it off to them, go off. And like, you're just like, I get what you're saying. Like, I just like, I guess, I'm
always on the move.
Yeah. I was just thinking of a good way for like a good terminology for me to like wrap my brain around it. And just like, ministry, just like, you're just like building connections with people. And that's awesome though.
Yeah.
And that it's able to like do so much, and that you don't have to, cause like I'm a very like, outside of like, having a family and like staying in place, blah, 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 like at heart, like I'm still like a very like kind of like free spirited person. Like I've always just wanted to kind of like, oh, I want to do this, and now I want to do this, and now I want to go do this, so it's cool to see someone that can that also like has a family, but that can take that sort of attitude and that sort of like want to constantly be like pushing new boundaries, trying new things, and like make that applicable to like what it is that you're doing for a living, and applicable to like what it is that you believe in, and that you can kind of live that out while doing something good. Because a lot of people that live out that lifestyle of just like, I want to do this and this, like it's usually tends to be a very self-fulfilling, sometimes somewhat self-destructive lifestyle. So to see that type of thing used in like a positive manner is very, very awesome.
In a channeled way.
Yeah, definitely. So,
and I think what's the definition of vocation? That's when, I'm going to totally butcher this, and I heard it, I heard somebody say it the other day, and they were very articulate. But it's when that passion of like who you are aligns with what you do for a living.
Right.
if you can make those two, I think that's what we're always trying to do, or what we always want to do. And I realize that's an incredible sort of privilege to have, to be able to do those things. But when it happens, it's magic. So, yeah. So, man, so we close out here. What's a word you have for folks? A word of hope, or, anything you want to say?
I mean, I guess any sort of like words of hope during like this absolutely crazy time we're going through is that it's just keep your head up as much as you can. Like, this definitely sucks for everybody, really, really bad right now, and like, I'm not really trying to paint it that just because like people like me and Rob have kids means that we're really just like, dealing with it so much more terribly than everybody else is. Cause I know that other people are dealing with some different internal struggles that being stuck inside may not be too good for them. But just remember that hopefully this is all going to be over soon. Hopefully we can get back to normal as much as possible, and that like we just hold on for a little bit longer and just try and keep the best positive mindset as possible. Call someone if you need to. Obviously, if you're feeling to a point where things are getting to you too heavily, call a friend, call a family member, call any sort of hotline that there is out there that is offering help of any kind. Everybody just, and be safe. Don't be stupid, please. Don't go to areas yet, especially if you live in Arizona where that's all we have. Just be safe. Think and stay safe.
Yeah. And if folks need some video done or pictures taken or some editing, who should they call?
They should call me.
Yeah. I've seen your work and it's good, man.
Thank you, man. I have worked very, very hard over the last few years to try and get to that point. It was a lot, especially with the kids. But yeah, if anybody needs anything done, I can pretty much do anything video wise, editing. I can help out with anything that people may need. Say you can just contact Rob, and I don't like giving out my phone number over the vast online, So,
good call. Yeah.
If anybody needs anything or is interested, just message Rob here, and then Rob will put you in contact with me.
For sure. Well, thanks for agreeing to do this, man. It was good to catch up and good to have you on the show.
Yeah, man, it was great. I'm really glad I got to. I'm glad that my kids were only like halfway to monsters, and they actually like let me get through it. Normally I'd be walking outside every couple minutes.
Definitely on the other side of my office door, there were a couple times where I'm like, oh, am I gonna have to go deal with this? So yeah. All right, man. Well, thanks for joining us, and look forward to posting this later and sharing it with the world.
All right, man. I will talk to you soon.
Peace, brother.
Later, dude.